Heartwarming. Homeless girl teaches wealthy Arab how to change his life after 3 amazing lessons. Emma woke up every morning to the harsh symphony of downtown Chicago, the honking horns, the shout of street vendors, and children's laughter drifting from the park she could only gaze at from afar. At 12, she had learned how to navigate this bustling world with fierce hope, despite her cramped shelter room that felt more like a prison than a home. Every day, she promised herself, this could be the day. School had been her beacon, a place filled with possibility. But financial struggles forced her to drop out, leaving her restless nights haunted by dreams of classrooms and textbooks. Her love for learning was fierce like a wildfire in her heart, but it felt so far out of reach. It was in the community center, her sanctuary, that she found purpose. Surrounded by other kids like her, Emma volunteered, pouring love and kindness into each interaction, with soup and sandwiches shared among laughter. That was where she met Omar. He walked in with the weight of the world on his shoulders, dressed in sharp suits, eyes reflecting both wealth and something deeper. "What's your name?" Emma ventured cautiously, her curiosity piqued. "Omar," he replied, taking in the vibrant chaos around him. She saw a hint of confusion in his gaze, as if he didn't quite belong in this world of struggle where she thrived. Emma poured him soup as they exchanged stories. She spoke of her dreams to go back to school, her struggle to find a job, her longing for a better life. Omar listened intently, something stirring in him, a glimpse into a life so different from his own. The richness of her spirit surrounded him, filling the empty corners of his world. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But tension began to build when Omar's ambitious project was announced, a shiny new development that threatened to displace the community center. Emma felt a tight anger forming in her chest as she confronted him one fateful afternoon. "How can you decide this for us? This place is all we have." Tears brimmed her eyes, her faith in him fracturing under the weight of reality. Omar's heart sank. Each word from her was like a blade that cut through the silk of his wealthy world, making him see the consequences of his ambition. He had thought he understood her struggles, yet here he was, faced with the reality of what his choices meant for Emma and her community. Just when their bond seemed to shatter, an eviction notice changed everything. It felt like the city itself gasped as the news spread like wildfire. Emma stood frozen, her dreams of education hanging by a thread, while Omar wrestled with a moral dilemma that could redefine his life. Together, they faced a community's fight for their homes, a messy blend of hope and despair. Against the backdrop of a crumbling agreement, they both stood at a crossroads, connected by shared struggles yet pulled apart by privilege and expectations. Their friendship was strained and tested, forcing them to rethink what success truly meant. Could they push through the barriers keeping them apart? As the deadline loomed, Emma and Omar wondered if together they could find a path toward hope, or would social divides keep them in separate worlds forever? Only time would tell. When Emma heard the words, "eviction notice," it felt like a punch to her stomach. The walls of her fragile world seemed to close in. She fought back tears, pressing her hands into the cool, worn surface of the community center table. The room buzzed with hushed voices, each one a mixture of uncertainty and fear. Omar, still reeling from the confrontation with Emma, felt a new urgency settling in his chest. He had seen her spirit, a flicker of flame that refused to be extinguished. Now he realized he couldn't stand by and let it flicker out. He pushed through the whispers of the others, moving closer to Emma, urgency in his stride. "Emma," he said softly, placing his hand on her shoulder. The warmth was met with tension. "We need to talk." Emma turned, eyes aflame with hurt. "Talk? About what? Your new building? That's all you care about. You don't see us, you only see the project." No, that's not true. Omar insisted, his voice earnest. I didn't understand before, but now I see. I can help, we can help each other. Emma's heart raced, but doubt filled her mind. How? You're the one setting this all in motion. You're tearing us apart. Frustration coursed through Omar. I want to stop it. If there's any way to save the community center, I'll do it. Just give me a chance. Emma studied his face, seeing sincerity in his eyes. Yet skepticism held her back. Could someone like him truly change? She didn't answer him. Instead, she looked around the room. The children needed this center, a place where laughter echoed and warmth thrived. She couldn't let it vanish. As the days passed, Emma buried herself in plans, scribbling ideas for a letter to send to the city council, a desperate plea for help. Her hand ached from writing, but determination fueled her. If she couldn't fight for her dream, what was left? Omar watched her, feeling an overwhelming sense of responsibility. He spent long hours in his office, researching how similar developments had failed due to community pushback. He was determined to learn everything he could. It was a world far removed from his own, but his heart was set. One rainy afternoon, they met again at the community center. With a nervous energy, Omar stood before Emma, freshly printed papers in hand. He organized a community meeting, bringing together influential voices from the area to speak on their behalf. We can create a coalition, he said, excitement brewing. Together we can show them we matter. Emma's heart fluttered, but worry crept in. What if they don't listen? What if it's too late? Then we fight harder, Omar replied fiercely. We need to show them who we are, what we're worth. As community members arrived at the center, Emma felt the energy shift. She could sense their fears, hopes, and resilience collecting around them like a buzzing current. Omar stood beside her, a stranger who had turned into an unexpected ally. The meeting began, and people shared their hearts. Emma spoke next, her voice echoing against the four walls she had grown to love. She described what the center meant to her and countless others. It was a home, a school, and a beacon of dreams. Little by little, their words became a chorus that demanded to be heard, and with each story shared, Emma's hope began to surge. Maybe they could make a difference after all. As the meeting concluded, a palpable sense of determination lingered in the air. Emma and Omar exchanged glances, a spark ignited. But with the deadline looming closer, uncertainty still lurked in the shadows. Could they truly be the change they sought? Emma's heart raced as she considered the next steps. What would it take to ignite the brighter future they so desperately wanted? And as they left the community center hand in hand, the weight of the world still on their shoulders, one pressing question hung in the air: would their newfound bond be enough to face the challenges that lay ahead, or would the walls come crashing down around them? As they stepped out of the community center, rain dripped lazily from the awning, a gray shroud wrapping around the world outside. Emma could feel the weight of expectation in her chest. There was no denying that the meeting had been powerful, but doubts lingered like shadows. What if their voices fell on deaf ears? Omar, she began, her voice quivering, do you really think we can change anything? Yes, he answered, but the certainty felt too optimistic to Emma. She wanted to believe him, to embrace that hope, but it gnawed at her. They walked together, shoulders brushing against the chill in the air. The streets were dim, the bustling life of the community now a low hum around them. Omar fumbled through his papers, his brow furrowed. I've lined up some meetings, local businesses, city council members. I can start conversations. Emma stopped mid-step, a jolt of anxiety sweeping over her. What if they don't want to listen? What if they don't care? They will care, he urged, a fire sparking in his eyes. Because we will make them care. We have to show them what this center means to everyone. They reached her apartment, a small place that felt more like home than ever, with its cracked walls and squeaky floorboards. Emma opened the door and the familiar scent of her worn-out couch welcomed her inside. It had always been a refuge filled with dreams, but now it felt burdened. "Can I help?" Omar asked, his voice turning gentle. Emma smiled nervously, appreciating the sincerity in his offer. "I'm just overwhelmed." She moved to a cluttered table, filled with papers and art supplies that bore witness to her restless thoughts. "Let us organize," he suggested. "Everything starts with a plan." As they spread the papers across the table, Emma felt the connection between them shift. Working side by side, they delved deep into her hopes, mixing passion with strategy. Time slipped by, and soon laughter bubbled up between them, breaking the tension that had overshadowed their previous encounters. Yet just as things began to feel lighter, a knock on the door interrupted. It was Mrs. Garcia, the elderly neighbor who had always held a place in Emma's heart. "Emma, love. I heard about the meeting. I'm proud of you." But she hesitated, her frail hands trembling slightly. "It's not just the center. People are scared. They're losing their homes too." Emma's stomach sank. Reality was a cruel teacher. "I know, but we're going to fight for all of us. We're trying to create a plan." Mrs. Garcia's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You have to be the voice for your people. We're counting on you." A flurry of emotions hit Emma at once: anxiety, courage, and a deep sense of responsibility. Before she could respond, Omar stepped forward. "We won't let you down. We'll gather everyone's stories, and we'll amplify them. Together, we can make change happen." With a firm nod, Mrs. Garcia thanked them, her frail frame straightening just a little. The interaction lingered in the air, a reminder of the stakes. As the night deepened, Emma turned to Omar, heart racing. "What if we're too late? What if we fail?" "Then we know we tried," he replied, determination threading through his voice. "But we won't fail. We can't." Her gaze locked onto his, feeling the fierce intensity of their shared resolve. She took a breath. This was more than just about the center now. It felt like a call to arms for everyone who had been forgotten. As they continued their planning, Emma felt a spark ignite within her. For the first time, it didn't seem impossible. Two disparate worlds were colliding, forming something new, an alliance forged in hope and shared dreams. But would it be enough? The city council was just around the corner, ready to make decisions that could alter their lives forever. Would their voices rise loud enough to overcome the silence of indifference? With the night whispering promises of change, Emma clung to that spark, knowing the battle was just getting started. Could their journey of transformation lead to salvation, or was it a path that would tear them apart? The following morning brought with it a heaviness that mirrored the dark clouds lingering in the sky. Emma's dreams had been restless, filled with images of crumbling buildings and voices pleading for help, and she shot out of bed with a sense of urgency. They had only so much time before the city council meeting, and every minute wasted was a chance lost. After a hurried breakfast of toast and coffee, she hurriedly gathered her notes and sketches before heading out to meet Omar. They had decided to meet at the park across the street from the community center. As she stepped outside, the raindrops clung to the leaves, adding a glistening texture to the world around her. Omar was already there, pacing under the awning of the park shelter, the look on his face a curious mix of excitement and worry. "Good morning," he called, a rush of enthusiasm coloring his voice. "Morning," Emma replied, trying to match his energy but feeling the nerves gnawing at her stomach. "Ready?" he asked, adjusting his glasses as he pulled out a notebook filled with names and ideas. Emma nodded, steeling herself. "We need to make sure everyone is heard. Mrs. Garcia's right, we can't let their stories go untold." Together, they started approaching families in the park, some who had been deeply impacted by the recent changes in their neighborhoods. Each story was like a thread, weaving a larger tapestry of a community fighting to stay connected. They met a single mother, Elena, who spoke of the struggles of finding stable housing while caring for her two kids. An elderly man, Mr. Wong, shared how he watched his neighborhood deteriorate, each vacant house a reminder of dreams lost. The weight of their words pressed down on Emma, making her heart ache for each one of them. A lot of people are scared, Omar noted as they walked, reflecting on what they gathered. But fear can be powerful if we harness it. People just want to be seen, Emma added, feeling the urgency build within her. They want to know they're not fighting alone. With each passing encounter, sparks of determination ignited. They began to sketch a framework for their presentation, listing the stories and the real people behind them, ready to make a compelling case to the council. As they returned to Emma's apartment to reinforce their plans, a sudden thought struck her. Omar, what if we get some of these people to join us at the meeting? Their presence could be a powerful statement. His eyes lit up. What a great idea. Nothing speaks louder than a face to a story. They quickly reached out to those willing to share their stories publicly. Hearing their voices and capturing their hopes infused Emma with a renewed sense of purpose. With this new tactic, they could turn individual fears into a collective movement. By evening, the atmosphere shifted. They decaptured the essence of the community's struggle in a way that could no longer be ignored. Emma could feel that spark growing stronger. This was their chance. As she and Omar laid out the final details, she realized how much she depended on him. You know, she said softly, I wouldn't have gotten this far without you. Your belief in what we can do means everything. Omar smiled, but his expression turned serious. We still have a long way to go, Emma. But it's worth it. Even if one person's life changes because of our efforts, we've made a difference. They exchanged glances, understanding the depth of their journey. The fear of potential failure still loomed heavy, yet there was also an undeniable strength in their bond, and as night wrapped around them, a knock on the door shattered the quietude. Both turned to look, hearts racing. Who could it be now? Could this unexpected visitor be the turning point they desperately needed, or could it bring more complications to the already fragile situation? Emma's heart raced as she made her way to the door. She shared a glance with Omar, whose brow was furrowed in concern. The tension was palpable, each second stretching out as they waited. Finally, she took a deep breath and opened the door. Standing before them was a young girl, no more than 10 years old, with tangled hair and bright, curious eyes that seemed to hold a universe of untold stories. She wore a patched jacket that was 2 sizes too big, and her tiny hands clutched a worn backpack. Hi, she said softly, her voice almost drowned out by the steady rain. I'm Billy. Can I come in?
Sure,
Emma replied, stepping aside to let her in. Omar quickly shut the door, sealing out the cold air and the unsettling atmosphere of the street. As the girl stepped into the warmth of the apartment, she looked around with wide eyes, taking in the sketches, the papers, and the mess of late-night brainstorming sessions scattered around. Are you working on something important? She asked, her gaze darting from Emma to Omar. Emma exchanged a look with Omar, unsure of how to respond. We're trying to help our community, she finally said, sensing the girl's sincerity. Billy nodded slowly. I used to live in the community center before she had to go away. People don't listen to kids like me. But I've got something to say. Please, tell us, Omar encouraged her, gesturing for her to sit at the makeshift dining table where they had spread their work. As Billy spoke, her words tumbled out in an unfiltered stream. She talked about her life in the shelter, the fear of losing the little security she had, and the other children who felt the same way. They don't see us, she said, her voice now trembling, they just see homeless kids. Emma felt tears prick at her eyes as she listened. This little girl, so full of passion, was echoing the sentiments of everyone they had spoken to that day. What do you think we should do? Emma asked, genuinely intrigued. Billy's expression turned serious. You have to show them who we are. Tell them we're strong. We play together, we help each other. Even in the dark, we build our own light. Omar nodded, captivated by her conviction. You're right. We need to show the council the community as it really is, not just a statistic. Billy perked up, her eyes shining. Can I come with you to the meeting? I want to tell them my story. They need to hear it. Emma felt a swell of hope. Absolutely. Your voice matters. You can help us show them that kids like you deserve a future. As they discussed the details, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this young girl, with her unpretentious wisdom, was exactly what they needed. She had taught them something profoundly important: power lies in connection, and everyone's story deserves to be told. When Billy left the apartment that evening, the air felt lighter somehow. Emma and Omar exchanged smiles, the weight of their mission feeling a little less daunting. The next day would be crucial. They needed to prepare not just their presentation, but give Billy the confidence to speak out. As Emma lay in bed that night, she replayed the girl's words in her mind. The readiness to fight was there, but what if the council didn't listen? What if their voices were drowned out again? The thought gnawed at her. But then she remembered Billy's spirit, her resilience in the face of hardship. They had come too far to back down now. Suddenly, a phone notification interrupted the silence. Emma glanced down at her device. A message from an unknown number flashed on the screen. We know what you're planning. You win. Her heart dropped. What did this mean? She looked at the clock. They were running out of time, and danger was closing in. What would this mean for their fight? Would they still have the strength to go on? Tomorrow was going to change everything. Emma's mind raced as she stared at the phone, her heart pounding in her chest. The message felt like an ice-cold bucket of water thrown over her hopes. Who could have sent it? What did they know? Without thinking, she turned to Omar, who was by the kitchen table, fiddling with the papers. His brow was still furrowed, but now it shadowed a flicker of uncertainty. Omar, I just got a message, she said, her voice shaking. They know what we're planning. Omar straightened, his face turning serious. What do you mean? Emma held the phone out, the screen glowing ominously. It says, we know what you're planning. You win. What if they try to stop us? Omar stepped closer, glancing at the message. This could be a prank, he suggested, but even he didn't sound convinced. Whoever it is must be scared. Our voices are powerful. Emma nodded, wishing she shared his confidence. She knew they were risking a lot, but could they afford to press on? Billy needed them, and deep down, she could feel the urgency of their mission simmer under her skin. Tomorrow, we'll brainstorm a plan. We can't let fear get in our heads, Omar said, trying to reassure her. In the morning, we'll meet Billy at the community center. She deserves to have a say. Emma nodded again, bracing for the next challenge. They couldn't allow negativity to take root in their minds. Still, the pitter-patter of rain against the window felt heavier now, and the shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch longer as they prepared to face what lay ahead. The next morning, the air was stifled in the apartment. Billy arrived early, her eyes wide and her tiny hands clenching that same battered backpack. She looked like a spark of light against the gray morning. Good morning. She beamed, instantly making Emma feel lighter. Are you ready? Emma offered a smile, trying to match Billy's enthusiasm. We're working on it. We need your strength today. As they gathered around the table, the atmosphere shifted. Omar started jotting down ideas, but Billy's focus was unwavering. We should tell them about the games we play, the friendships we share, she suggested, her eyes sparkling. And our dreams. Emma felt a lump form in her throat again. How had this girl captured the essence of their struggles so perfectly? It was about more than statistics, it was about the lives behind the numbers. Suddenly, the phone buzzed again. Emma hesitated before checking it. Another message from the unknown number flashed on the screen. Help will come for you. You're in over your heads. What's wrong? Billy asked, her concern evident. Emma forced herself to breathe. Just some noise, she said, trying to downplay it. Let us stay focused on our plan. As they strategized, Emma felt a strange mix of hope and apprehension. This was their moment to shine, but the stakes felt dangerously high. When the time drew near, they made their way to the council meeting, reflecting on everything they'd prepared. Emma's heart raced, not from anxiety, but from the electricity of purpose pulsing in the air. Standing in front of the bustling council room, Billy took a deep breath. Emma encouraged her with a nod, whispering, "You've got this." But as they pushed through the doors, the crowd grew silent. Shadows loomed over the assembly, and voices buzzed low, uncertain whispers filling the space. Emma's gaze captured a glimpse of disapproval, faces tinged with skepticism. She felt a flicker of doubt creep in. What if they were dismissed? Then, she glanced down at Billy, whose small fists were balled with determination. At that moment, something profound sparked inside Emma. What happened next would determine everything for Billy and so many like her. Suddenly, the council chair lifted a hand, and the room quieted further. Emma felt the weight of every heart in that room. Her own raced as she leaned closer to hear. Will they listen? Will Billy be heard? Emma held on to that question, knowing it would decide their fate. Outside the window, thunder rumbled ominously as if the storm was mirroring the tension within the walls. The showdown was about to begin. What would it mean if Billy's story fell flat in the face of indifference? Would they be driven to silence again? As the council chair's hand dropped to the table, Emma felt the collective breath of the crowd tighten around them. Billy stepped forward, her small frame somehow commanding the attention of the entire room. Emma could see the determination etched in her eyes, but she also noticed the slight tremor in her hands. For a moment, time hung suspended, the air thick with anticipation. "Hello, everyone," Billy's voice cut through the silence, steady and clear. The warmth of her tone seemed to envelop the room, coaxing the onlookers to lean in. "I want to talk about something that matters to us all." Emma's heart swelled with pride. This was their chance. It was more than just a speech, it was a declaration. Billy took a deep breath, and Emma caught herself holding hers too, wishing she could lend her strength. "What we have," Billy continued, glancing back at Emma and Omar for support, "isn't just about our struggles, it's about hope. It's about what we dream of becoming. We shouldn't have to fight for basic things, like a safe place to sleep or the opportunity to learn." The murmur rippled through the crowd, creating a wave that both frightened and thrilled Emma. Some faces softened, others hardened. She knew they weren't just fighting for themselves, they were advocating for a whole community. She could feel Billy's bravery piercing through the waves of doubt. As the words flowed from Billy's lips, Emma saw subtle shifts in expressions. Some council members exchanged glances, a spark of realization seeming to flicker in their eyes. It was a small victory, but it held potential. Then, with a vulnerability that only she could muster, Billy confessed, "I know what it's like to feel invisible. To be dismissed because of circumstances I didn't choose. But each of us has something to offer, something to give." Emma's eyes began to water. Billy's raw honesty struck a chord deep within her. The weight of their fight felt lighter somehow, and she squeezed Omar's hand for reassurance. Suddenly, heckles rose from the edge of the room. "Why should we listen to her?" a man shouted, breaking the moment like glass shattering against the floor. Emma's heart sank, a wave of fear crashing in. Billy's composure faltered briefly, but Emma watched in awe as she straightened herself. "Because what I have to say matters," she replied, her voice wavering with both fear and resolve. "Every child deserves a chance. Every person is worth listening to." A palpable tension gripped the room as whispers turned into murmurs of agreement. Did they break through? Could they change minds? Emma caught a glimpse of Omar's face, his brow was furrowed in concentration. This was it, every word mattered. She watched Billy launch back into her appeal, her spirit unyielding. Each story of hardship woven with dreams painted a picture so vivid that Emma could almost feel the air shift in the room. But just as hope began to rise like steam, the council chair interrupted, his voice heavy with authority. "Let us cut to the chase. Can we really trust your words? What proof do you have? The question hung there, heavy like the storm that still rumbled outside. Emma's heart raced again, panic flooding her veins. This was their breaking point. How could they prove the realities of every child without their voices being heard and acknowledged? Billy hesitated, looking back to Emma and Omar for support. Emma could only nod, encouragingly. We have to be brave, she whispered softly, though she was trembling inside. At that moment, Emma realized the truth. They were up against more than just a council. They were challenging a system, a belief that had smothered them for too long. The council room darkened with forbidding shadows, the weight of indifference pressing down like an iron blanket. But in the depths of her heart, Emma sensed a flicker of possibility. What if they could turn this moment into something greater, into a movement for change? Before Billy could speak again, another voice echoed through the hall, one that filled the air with its unexpected clarity and power. And what if we can? What if this changes everything? Emma turned, her breath catching in her throat. Who had dared to speak up now? And what would this new voice mean for them all? The tension thickened as the room waited, hearts in limbo. Emma's eyes darted across the room. She couldn't quite see who spoke those words, but the way they hung in the air made her pulse quicken. The crowd's attention was now split, and Emma caught fragments of expressions ranging from surprise to intrigue. Who are you? The council chair snapped, his voice ice-cold against the warmth of hope spreading like sunlight. The unexpected speaker stepped forward, revealing a girl Emma recognized, a local teenager named Raquel. She had been part of an outreach program Emma worked with, presenting opportunities to teens from disadvantaged backgrounds. Raquel's fiery spirit made her an unlikely but welcome ally. I'm Raquel, she said boldly, her tone brimming with confidence. I may not have all the answers, but I've seen what happens when we come together. It's time we show them we're not just begging for scraps, we're asking for a seat at the table. The audience stirred, murmurs igniting like a distant fire. Emma leaned closer, captivated by the passion radiating from Raquel. What do we have to lose? Raquel continued, her voice rising. Our voices matter. Together, we can create change. Change? The council chair scoffed, though some in the crowd began to nod eagerly, feeling the swell of possibility. Yes, change. Raquel pressed on, emboldened. We've got ideas, solutions, and we can prove it, if you just listen. Not one more person needs to be left outside. We can make room for everyone. A wave of emotion washed over Emma. Could this truly be the moment they all had long waited for? She shared a glance with Billy, who wore a mixture of pride and awe. Emma took a step back, giving space for Raquel to stand tall in the spotlight. This isn't just about our survival, Billy added, her voice joined now with Raquel's, the unity between them vibrating with strength. This is about our future, the future of our community. We have stories, real stories that you can't ignore. With each word, Emma felt barriers cracking apart. The council members who had previously looked bored now appeared more engaged, leaning forward slightly. Was this the breakthrough they had been yearning for? How do you propose we trust you? The chair asked, his tone softening yet still tinged with skepticism. Raquel didn't hesitate. Trust can be built through action. Let us show you what we're capable of. We'll gather testimonials, real ones, from the heartbeats of this community. We'll bring proof of our ideas and solutions. We're a collective, not just a single voice. A hush fell over the room as the audience processed Raquel's proposition. Emma glanced at Omar, who looked relieved yet hopeful, his eyes reflecting a dream they all shared. Let us meet again, Billy urged, driving the energy of the moment forward. Let us establish a partnership between the council and us, the people who live these truths every day. We have to collaborate for real solutions. The council chair deliberated, his eyes scanning the room, clearly weighing the implications of the moment. Emma held her breath, the room poised on a precipice of change. Just then, a woman in the back stood up, her voice shaky but firm. What if we don't just want change for ourselves? What if we want it for everyone? For our city, for the future? Another wave of whispers spread like ripples in water. Emma felt the momentum shifting, weaving strands of solidarity and purpose. Raquel had opened the gate, but would the council step through? As the chair prepared to respond, Emma's heart raced faster. What decision would they reach? Would this blossom into the dawn they had fought for, or would it fade like so many hopeful dreams brushed aside? As the words hung in the air, Emma felt the world narrowing down to this pivotal moment, realizing almost painfully that they were merely an inch away from potential for better or worse. What happened next could carve the path to their lives. How much strength would it take to push through? Could they keep this fire alight? Emma's heart thundered in her chest as she waited, each second stretching painfully while the council chair's expression hardened into a deliberative mask. The silence was electric, charged with an urgency that left everyone holding their breath. She scanned the faces around her, people who had lent their voices to Raquel's fight, their hope flickering like candles in the wind. Finally, the chair cleared his throat. "We take this responsibility seriously," he said slowly, his eyes lingering on Raquel. "I will need time to consider your ideas. We can meet again in 2 weeks." 2 weeks. The weight of that timeline felt heavy in the air. Emma's stomach twisted with a mix of fear and anticipation. Would they be able to harness this momentum? Would Raquel's vision still blaze bright then, or wane in the face of reality? 2 weeks. Raquel shouted, a note of frustration creeping into her voice. People can't wait. There's urgency in this community, there's pain. Don't let that be ignored. Emma stepped forward, compelled to support Raquel. "We're not just asking for time," she implored, heat rising to her cheeks. "We're asking to be heard, to be seen. We can document our stories, compile our ideas. We can present them to you sooner. Please, don't let this moment slip away." The chair's brow furrowed. Emma saw the flicker of understanding in some of the other council members' eyes. They were beginning to see the risk of complacency. Yet, doubt remained. "I empathize," he replied, softer now. "But you must understand, this is a complex situation. Decisions require thought and deliberation. None of this can be taken lightly or it can be ignored," Raquel interjected, frustration etched on her face. "For so long, we've been sidelined. We're tired of waiting. Change starts with us. We want to help move you past the obstacles. We can lead the way." Emma moved closer to Raquel, feeling the heat of her passion. She could almost touch the energy soaring in the room, coursing from soul to soul like a lifeline. "Start with us," she echoed, her voice now steady. "Let us have some immediate discussions. Roundtables, forums, whatever you call them. It doesn't have to take weeks to begin." A rustle broke through the crowd as murmurs of agreement rippled like waves. Emma saw nods of encouragement, small, but they ignited a spark of hope. The council chair hesitated as he witnessed the gathering storm of voices, the rising tide of resolve. Emma could feel it too, the community shifting from a passive audience to active participants. "Very well," he finally conceded, voice strained as if truth were being pulled from him. "We will hold one open session next week." Suddenly, a voice rose from the back of the crowd. It was Omar. "What about before that?" He stepped forward, his sincerity palpable. "There are people out there ready to share their stories now. We can meet informally, just us, and discuss real issues." The room buzzed with energy, heads turning, excitement blooming. Each new voice lifted the collective spirit higher and higher. Emma's heart soared, and she could see that something was transforming before her eyes. This was the kind of connection that had been missing, the kind that could illuminate paths for countless others in the community. She shared a proud glance with Billy and Raquel, who beamed back, their expressions mirroring the elation that flooded Emma's heart. The chair nodded, conceding the shift in energy. "I suppose a small gathering could work." He was still hesitant, but even his tone was beginning to soften. Emma felt the adrenaline surge. They had pushed through the cracks a chance to form something tangible. As the assembly adjourned, Emma gripped Raquel's shoulder, a mix of disbelief and joy washing over her. Did we just do that? Did we really just create an opportunity? Raquel grinned, her eyes bright with determination. We're just getting started. But as they stepped out of the formal setting and back into the sprawling uncertainties of their neighborhood, doubt crept in again. Emma had the sense that the real battle lay ahead, and she knew they must start again, and soon. The question lingered in the air as they walked away: would they be able to heal the fractures within their community, or had they merely opened a door to even deeper challenges? As shadows lengthened in the fading light, Emma's chest tightened. What awaited them on this journey to discovery? A whirlwind of hope and doubt greeted Emma and Omar as they stepped out from the austere confines of the council room. The echoes of their victory felt fleeting, the rush of emotion still coursing through their veins, yet uncertainty lingered like an unshakable shadow. I can't believe it, Emma murmured, glancing at Omar. We did something, but what's next? Omar shrugged, his brows knitted together. We keep pushing. We gather stories, voices, and we build momentum. As they crossed the street towards the community center, Emma noticed the faces that passed by, faces that mirrored her own struggles, her own hopes. She could feel the energy of the city buzzing beneath the surface. They weren't just names on a piece of paper, they were people. Lives intertwined in a dance of ambition, resilience, and vulnerability. The community center loomed ahead, its warm light inviting, contrasting the chill of uncertainty. Inside, they found a gathering of families, spirits buoyed by Emma and Omar's recent endeavors. Emma. Omar. Billy ran across the room, her small frame radiating triumph. Did it really happen? Did they agree to listen? Emma felt a weight lift, her heart swelling with pride. They did. And they want to hear your stories, all of our stories. The air thickened with excitement, stories began to bubble forth as voices joined in a vibrant chorus. Emma took a moment to observe the camaraderie building among them. Each smile she caught and each heartfelt laugh shared wove a stronger bond among the group. These were the building blocks of their community. Let us make a list, Omar suggested, drawing everyone's attention. Every story, every idea. We'll write our own plan for the council meeting. Billy's eyes sparkled as she stepped forward. Can we share how we, play? We work together even when it's hard. And that matters, right? Absolutely, Emma nodded vigorously. It can showcase our strength. Together, they began compiling a tapestry of their experiences, crafting narratives rich in emotion and unity, a testament to their shared struggle and strength. As the sun dipped lower, casting glowing hues of orange and pink against the walls, Emma stepped back from the whiteboard they had filled with names and stories. She marveled at how far they had come. Against all odds, they transformed their fear into power, yet deep inside, another voice echoed what would happen when they faced the council again. Would those in power truly listen? Emma wrestled with her doubts, but then looked around the room. She saw the older members like Mrs. Garcia, the children giggling, and Omar's earnest expression. Their presence bolstered her resolve. They were a family now, bound not by blood but by the fervent desire for a better future. Days turned into nights, and the group met often, strategizing, sharing moments of victory and defeat. Each tale became more than a cry for help, it was an invitation for connection, a chance to build something inclusive. Finally, the day of the follow-up meeting arrived, charged with the anticipation of possibility. Emma felt a whirlwind of emotions: excitement, fear, hope swirling inside her. This was the moment they had prepared for, a culmination of their voices joining as one. As they gathered outside the council room once again, Emma looked at Billy, then Omar. Today is our day. The council chair resurfaced, along with a fresh wave of council members ready to listen, their expressions softened by the tales they had heard in the preceding weeks. With each voice that rose, Emma felt history being carved in the air. They spoke of dreams, and desires, and the undeniable strength that lay in community. They illustrated their narrative not just as a plea for basic rights, but as architects of a brighter future. Billy spoke with clarity and confidence, her words wrapping around the room like a warm embrace. We're here not just for ourselves, but for everyone who needs to be heard. We're strong, and we deserve a chance. The council members began to shift. Emma could see subtle nods, shifting expressions that transformed their skepticism into curiosity. Several powerful stories later, the council chair leaned forward, a look of contemplation on his face. What shall we do moving forward? A wave of relief washed over Emma as she realized they had transcended mere confrontation. The us versus them dynamic began to dissolve. They were presenting solutions as partners. Raquel stepped forward, taking charge. We'll create a community council with your input to ensure our voices are part of every decision that affects us. This is our city too. A quiet hum of approval spread through the assembly, a connection igniting. For the first time, they weren't merely asking for a seat at the table, they were insisting upon it with grace and resilience. After a pause that felt monumental, the council chair nodded slowly. Let us work on this together. We need to see real plans that involve community voices going forward. Cheers erupted. Emma clasped Billy's hand tightly, tears of joy cascading down her cheeks. We did it. Together. The notion of possibility surged, walls crumbled, and hope filled every corner. This was just the beginning, a pioneering step towards genuine collective change. With unwavering faith and unity, Emma felt the pulse of futures colliding, visions blending into a story of triumph. They walked out of the council room hand in hand, the sun shining bright overhead, illuminating a path forward. The world beyond held challenges yet to face, but they were no longer alone. Now they stood as a force to be reckoned with, families woven together in strength, hearts beating as one for a brighter tomorrow. Will you join this journey of hope? Don't wait one more second. Subscribe immediately to keep up with these incredible stories. Hit like now, it fuels our passion. Comment your thoughts, feelings about this transformation, and share this video with at least 5 friends who need inspiration today. You need to be part of this movement.